Welcome to The Explainer. It's funny how we often look at children's media and just see the surface level story: bright colors, silly animals, fast paced action. But there is almost always something much deeper going on. Today, we're exploring exactly how animated kid shows brilliantly weave deep cultural traditions and really rich religious history into these high energy, entertaining stories. We're going to look at two specific examples that use the absolute chaos and excitement of animal races to teach some super fascinating life lessons. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. What do racing goats and galloping horses actually have in common? I mean, on the surface, they're just fun, fast-paced setups for cartoons, right? But as you'll see, these high-stakes animal races are actually a remarkably clever vehicle for learning. Creators use the adrenaline, the excitement, and the pure humor of a race to grab a child's attention. And once they have that attention hooked, they deliver these incredibly valuable lessons about culture, spirituality, sportsmanship, and courage. To understand how this whole thing works, we've got to introduce the competitors from our source material. On one side, we have the goat race. This story features a young boy named Ion and his two incredibly playful, definitely mischievous goats, Golu and Sharu. They're gearing up for this grand race. Then, on the other side, we have this epic horse race. This is a thrilling showdown between Abdullah's lightning-fast Arabian horse, perfectly named Bijli, which literally translates to lightning, and the incredibly strong horse Tufan, meaning storm, who's ridden by the kids Munna and Sarah. Both of these races, as different as they seem, set the stage for way more than just crossing a finish line. Let's look at the cultural layer first, which is just beautifully illustrated through Ion's goats. This race isn't just some random Tuesday event. It's tied directly to Eid. It starts with the completely chaotic attempt to wash the goats. Ion insists they just need a little bit of soap to look like superstars, but Golu the goat is absolutely terrified of the water. It's that relatable, everyday family chaos. But then, this instantly shifts to a moment of deep cultural significance when Dadi, the grandmother, spots the Eid moon. That visual cue brilliantly transitions all the silly goat antics right into a really heartwarming, joyful Eid celebration for the entire family. And all that joy culminates in this one simple, beautiful line. "This is the best Eid ever, guys!" It really highlights the pure, unadulterated happiness of the cultural celebration. Golu and Shiru aren't just pets here. They're completely central to the family's festive happiness. Through the lens of this silly little goat race, the kids watching are actually absorbing the warmth, the togetherness, and the major cultural milestones that truly define the Eid holiday. Now shifting gears over to the horse race between Bijli and Tufan, things get a little bit more dramatic. Here, the creators introduce a villain, Shaitaan, along with his sidekicks. Shaitaan acts as both a literal and a metaphorical antagonist. His stated goal in the story is to sabotage the kids, to instill fear, and ultimately to prevent them from becoming brave. He literally wants to see them fall off their horses. But, and this is the cool part, the show gives the children a very simple, powerful tool to defeat these tricks. By simply reciting Auzu Billah, which means seeking refuge in God, the children completely neutralize the villain's traps. It's an instant, practical lesson in spiritual resilience, cleverly packaged inside a thrilling sports narrative. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the creators masterfully use humor to diffuse all that tension. You have this huge buildup, right? The expectation is this fierce, high-speed, dead-serious horse race. But the reality? It's completely absurd. Tufan, the mighty storm, decides he'd rather act like a lawnmower and just stops to eat grass right in the middle of the race. Meanwhile, Bijli, the lightning-fast Arabian horse, somehow starts running backward. This comedy is absolutely crucial because it keeps the kids laughing and engaged, which perfectly sets them up to actually absorb the deeper lessons that follow. Which brings us to our next section, the educational core, Sunnah and Islamic history. Let's see what's actually under the hood of these stories. Right in the middle of all this racing action, the older character, Abdullah, takes a quick moment to teach the younger kids. He explains that horse racing wasn't just a game, it was an activity greatly loved by the Prophet Muhammad, who actually used to organize races among his companions. Abdullah even references this beautiful, vivid imagery directly from the Quran, noting how it describes the incredible power of horses striking sparks from their hooves as they gallop. So suddenly, these kids aren't just riding animals anymore. They're connecting with a deeply revered historical and spiritual tradition. The story also weaves in these delightful little historical anecdotes. Like, at one point, one of the kids wishes their horse had wings like a helicopter so they could win the race. And this prompts a story about Sayyidah Aisha, the Prophet's wife. As a young girl, she was playing with winged toy horses. When the Prophet playfully asked her if horses actually have wings, she wittily replied that the legendary horses of the Prophet Suleiman, or Solomon, had wings. It's just a beautifully charming, humanizing moment from history that the cartoon effortlessly slips right into the narrative of the race. Furthermore, the sources point out that there are actual, tangible, spiritual merits tied to caring for these animals. Literally just feeding a horse daily, providing it with fresh water, leading it gently by the reins, and using it for good causes, all of these everyday, simple actions earn spiritual rewards. So what started as a hyper-competitive race has beautifully evolved into this profound lesson on empathy, devotion, and the inherent spiritual value of caring for God's creatures. To really drive home the nobility of horseback riding, the show tells a thrilling little mini-narrative. Picture this. One night, a sudden, frightening noise wakes the people of Medina. There's a real threat. But before anyone else can even react, the Prophet Muhammad borrows a horse named Mandab, owned by his companion Abu Talha, and rides out bareback into the pitch black to scout the danger himself. By dawn, he returns, reassuring the frightened citizens that the city is perfectly safe. This vivid story brilliantly illustrates incredible bravery and leadership, showing the viewers exactly why being a capable rider is such an honorable, deeply respected skill. But, and this is a massive but, the show is very careful not to romanticize riding to the point of just ignoring reality. Even the absolute best riders fall. Munna, one of the kids in the race, openly acknowledges the inherent physical dangers of what they're doing. The characters actually discuss how falling and getting hurt are very real possibilities in any sport or brave endeavor. It's this great grounding moment of practical sportsmanship and safety awareness. So the crucial point is how they actually validate this reality check. They don't just wag a finger and say, be careful. They use history to prove it. They recount a specific time when even the Prophet Muhammad himself suffered a severe fall from a horse. He was injured badly enough that he had to rest in an upper floor room for an entire month to heal. By sharing this, the creators are sending a wildly powerful message to kids. Getting hurt doesn't mean you're weak. It happens to literally the very best of us, and taking the time to recover safely is incredibly important. Ultimately, the great horse race ends in a completely peaceful tie, and the kids happily agree that the absolute most important outcome is that Tufan, the horse, gets plenty of food. But they summarize the entire adventure with this brilliant translated proverb: only riders fall in the battlefield, meaning you can only stumble if you actually have the courage to get up in the saddle and try in the first place. It celebrates the sheer bravery of participating and learning, placing sportsmanship far, far above simply winning a trophy. Which brings us to a final question I want to leave you with today. When we look at these brilliant animated stories, whether it's goats chasing food on Eid or horses running completely backward, are we racing just to reach the finish line, or are we using the journey to learn how to ride through life? These creators are doing something truly spectacular here. They're using the bright, colorful, high-energy world of cartoons to plant these deep seeds of cultural pride, historical knowledge, and real character development. I hope this explainer has given you a newfound appreciation for the layers hidden right within children's media and leaves you eager to see what other incredible lessons might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep learning.